Almost everyone has heard a friend or a podcast talking about peptides in the last 6 months. Diary of a CEO did 90 minutes on it in April. The framing was Big Pharma's secret, but I think that's the wrong frame, but it is why the topic is on the table today. This isn't a wellness talk, it's about pharmacy spend. The same molecule class that gave us Ozempic is the most funded pipeline in pharma right now, and it's going to reshape what plans pay for drugs well beyond 2030. Over the next few minutes, I'll cover what's in the peptide pipeline, what you should know, and how you can prepare. GLP-1s alone are already a $50 billion revenue category, and it's still growing. That's before any of the new peptide molecules we're about to discuss even launch. Just a quick caveat, that revenue figure isn't all employer plan spend. A meaningful slice is paid out of pocket through direct-to-consumer channels like LillyDirect and NovoCare, TrumpRx. In some states, Medicare and international markets. We'll come back to the direct-to-consumer piece in a little bit. The point is that this isn't a niche category. It's already one of the biggest revenue lines in pharma history, and we're still just in the opening quarter. Peptides sit between a pill and a biologic. They hit targets that small molecules can't, but they can be manufactured at closer to small molecule scale. Insulin is a peptide and has been for 100 years, so the category is not new. What's new is AI-driven design plus the manufacturing capacity to actually scale them. Oral peptides are arriving imminently. Orforglipron is the first one to watch. We'll get into it in just a minute. Retatrutide is Lilly's triple agonist, and the TRIUMPH-4 readout at 28.7% weight loss is the highest in the class by a meaningful margin. The trillion-dollar drug line is real, not hyperbole. Analysts at multiple banks have modeled Retatrutide as a candidate for the first $1 trillion cumulative revenue drug. That's why Lilly is committing $27 billion to U.S. manufacturing. There are 7 phase 3 drug trials that will conclude through 2026. Approval is likely in 2027. If you're building a 3-year pharmacy budget, this is one major line item to take into consideration. Orforglipron is the one I'd watch more closely than Retatrutide if I were running a self-funded plan. Even though I think Retatrutide is a truly incredible drug, I have 2 reasons. One, it's an oral GLP-1, small molecule, no cold chain, no injection. That removes the biggest barrier to taking it more global. It also increases member adherence. Number 2, if oral GLP-1s work at scale, access and demand will scale as well. The NDA filing is in 2026. The 12.4% ATTAIN-1 result is lower than Retatrutide's 28.7% by a large margin. But the pill format matters more than the absolute efficacy across the global population, in my personal opinion. I think there's 3 main structural reasons why this category is different. When tirzepatide loses exclusivity in 2036 to 2039, don't expect a Lipitor-style cliff. Peptide manufacturing is harder, and biosimilars take longer to validate. Branded pricing power is also going to hold to some extent. There are also expanded indications, such as cardiovascular, kidney, sleep apnea. Each new indication enlarges the eligible population without a new molecule being manufactured. Alzheimer's, alcohol use disorder, and Parkinson's trials are all reading out soon. We'll talk about supply next. Lilly's investing $27 billion, Novo $10 billion, more on U.S. manufacturing. Amgen and Pfizer are following suit. It's not a temporary shortage being fixed, it's a permanent capacity build. Let's level set with just a tiny bit of pharmacy trend context. Specialty has been driving 8 to 12% trend for the better part of a decade. That's the baseline before GLP-1s. Oncology, autoimmune, rare disease, gene therapy. GLP-1s didn't break that line, but they drastically steepened it. Plans covering obesity indications are running 15 to 25% pharmacy trend right now. The pipeline I shared earlier keeps this pressure on through at least 2030. New molecules launch at premium prices, and each new indication is going to increase the number of members taking it. Manufacturers are going to protect their pricing until oral and biosimilar competition actually arrive, and I think that's further out than most people realize in the peptide category. Direct-to-consumer pricing is the most misunderstood piece of the GLP-1 story. The cards on the screen are real, and they're growing. What do? They put a $1,300 list price drug in reach for a self-pay member at $150 to $450. What they don't do, though, is lower your plan costs in any meaningful way. The plan still pays full freight when it covers the drug. What changes is the participant experience. We don't cover GLP-1s for weight loss used to mean the member couldn't access the drug. Now it means pay $300 a month yourself through Lilly Direct. It's a very different conversation with employees, and it may or may not impact how you make coverage decisions. So let me ground this in what I've actually seen. The business owner whose knees feel 20 years younger, my diabetic buddy who's no longer on insulin, my CEO whose team has noticed that he's really just a different person across the table. I've got 4 different friends that have taken GLP-1s over the last few years, down 50, 60, 80, and 130 pounds. When I model these drugs in a spreadsheet, they look expensive, and they are, but the spreadsheet doesn't capture what's happening to the people taking them. That tension is what makes plan design so difficult. So let's talk about 3 things you can actually do. Model the coverage decision honestly. If you cover obesity indications, build a multi-year forecast that assumes 15 to 25% pharmacy trend, not 8 to 10%. If you don't cover it, document why, because your employees are going to ask. Audit your pharmacy benefit contract is number 2. Whether it's your rebate structure, formulary controls, prior authorization criteria for new drug launches such as Retatrutide and Orforglipron. These terms in your PA contract with your PBM were written before this pipeline of drugs existed. You probably need to reevaluate it. And number 3, communicate proactively about direct-to-consumer alternatives. Employees who don't have plan coverage will find these drugs. It's better they hear about Lilly Direct from you than from a TikTok. The bottom line, these drugs are expensive, they're expanding, and they're very slow to go generic. It's a category that's going to put pressure on plan budgets for the next decade. The plans that handle it well are the ones that start the conversation with leadership now, not the ones that wait for their renewal 2 years from now. I'm not here to tell you to cover or not cover. I'm here to make sure that you're not surprised. The peptide craze is here. Peptide-related search volume hit 10 million in January alone. But I'll admit, it's a lot of noise. However, the clinical pipeline sitting behind a lot of this noise is very real and very well funded. There's a separate conversation about compounding pharmacies and unapproved peptides, BPC 157, TB 500, etc., but it's not what's going to drive spend on your health plan. But GLP-1s are not the end of the story. Peptides aren't a wellness fad, and they're not going away. It's the most life-changing drug class I've watched up close and in my career. The financial impact on plans will match the clinical impact. To make sure you stay up to date with the latest developments that are going to impact your health plan, you can subscribe here or check out our bi-weekly newsletter designed for anyone making decisions around employer-sponsored healthcare. You can find out more at benefitsblake.com.